Yo, what's up, everybody? Today is November 12th, Wednesday, 2025. First of all, say hello to my friend Winnie the She, right? He's not winning the pool. And remember, this guy might need to the breakout of World War III, right? So today I'm going to talk something about it. Why I'm gonna bring this topic is because everybody know that Sanae Takaichi, the newly elected Japanese prime minister, she emphasized again for Shinzo Abe's old quotation to say if something were to happen to Japan and if something were to happen to Taiwan, that thing will also happen to Japan. Which means, if the CCP China dare to attack Taiwan, and Japan would involve the war, which would possibly bring America. Of course, not possibly, 100% guaranteed, America will be involved in the war, kind of passively, in a war. Pretty much like the Pearl Harbor, right? Because in first place, America did not want to actively engage with the Japanese army. Americans just want to attack these archipelagos, the different islands, right? Just to get rid of the Japanese power in the southeastern region of all these islands. However, after the unexpected sneak attack by the Japanese on the poor Pearl Harbor, Americans have to actively proclaim the war on Japan, and we know what happened. Inevitably, the two big boys drop on the land. That is the first time and the second time only for the real practice, right? A bomb ever dropped on any territory, any enemy's territory. So this is pretty dangerous because Sanae Takaichi carried the political legacy from Shinzo Abe, right? The one who had been assassinated in the street, and you guys see the footage, right? By kind of a middle-aged loser or something like that. The guy did not have a job, but all he's thinking about is this hatred. I understand idea to Shinzo Abe, to say Shinzo Abe is a killer, Shinzo Abe is the one who make him life miserable, this and that. We have a lot of losers like that. They're living hallucination, right? Anyway, so basically, for Sanae Takaichi, why a lot of her remarks were pretty dangerous, because first of all, she, just like Shinzo Abe or like the predecessor, the former prime minister prior to Sanae Takaichi, right? They want to restore the old military glory of a Japanese army, which means they want to legalize their army, not just for the self-defense team. They want to make everything legalized. They want to have the true army, the true navy. This is pretty dangerous. And also, they want to change the constitution for peace. They want to change the constitution and so-called normalize the constitution. We know the Japanese constitution is not a real constitution compared to many other countries, right? Because the military power has been curtailed to a large degree. We know what happened in World War II, right? So for the restoration of the whole nation, Americans actually regulated a lot of this kind of martial law. You could not really have your own so-called true military. All you have is the self-defense team. So now they're also proclaimed, they openly support Taiwanese democracy. Because we know the Taiwanese is different from the CCP Chinese, right? So if you're saying that I'm for Taiwanese democracy and Taiwanese autocracy, right? That is to proclaim a war on CCP China, right? Because the CCP guys, they do not want Taiwan to have a true freedom of democracy. For example, they have polluted Hong Kong, right, in 2018 and 2019. For that kind of political movement, right? It's anti-patriation, something like that, right? The Hong Kongese are they on the street wearing the black shirts, and they have their slogan, right, to say CCP is evil. We gotta, advocate for the Hong Kong freedom, and then that has been squashed. We know what happened to Hong Kong right now, right? So basically, if Sanae Takaichi is openly supportive of Taiwan democracy, and CCP will see her as a nail in the war, it's not an easy job to deal with her, and she's a tough lady, and she is the evil person, so to speak, from a CCP's perspective. Of course, we know that's not true, right? And then Sanae Takaichi has been openly expressive for the anti-CCP move, like the spreading, because CCP is trying to spread its naval base across the world. CCP trying to dominate the world for the resource and rare earth element. We know that CCP have made their airship carriers like at dumplings, right? One after one after one. The WW3, the Fujian aircraft carrier, is just on the water, right? And now we have another one on the Dalian shipyard being building like massive scale, and that's for the nuclear weapon. If we have the nuclear powered airship carrier like WW4, still have electromagnetic catapult system. Think about that. Then all of a sudden, American hegemony on the Pacific Ocean might be overturned or at least evenly matched. That's pretty dangerous to the world and democracy, the democratic world, especially to America, right? So basically, Sanae Takaichi is one of the most important representatives and most obvious representatives of anti-CCP power of Japan among its political leaders. And then now let's say if something ever happened to Taiwan, Japan would definitely cannot let it go. You know, that means if you're hurting Taiwan, you're hurting Japan, right? That's something pretty dangerous. It means that Japan would not let it idle by. Japan would definitely give a helping hand. And then Japan would see Taiwan as one of the most important core elements for national security. And also, it's a direct warning to CCP China, right? So, and the most important thing is that why CCP is so afraid of that? Well, of course, first of all, right, is the ideology clashes, right? We know that CCP is so different from the rest of the world because CCP is advocating kind of a special version of communism. We know it's a fake communism, it's not a real communism. They don't have human rights there, right? But from the surface, they're trying to proclaim to the world that we are the best, right? So if Japan can openly dare to challenge the authority of the CCP or its ideology, CCP of course will see Sanae Takaichi or maybe the whole Japan as the enemy, of course, because they cannot coexist. If we say Sanae Takaichi is the righteous side, maybe CCP has to be the evil side. CCP does not want to sound evil or look evil on the world stage. You can see he's a hypocrite, right? CCP is a huge hypocrite. And then the most important thing is that by proclaiming, for the Sanae Takaichi, this kind of dangerous move, right? If she proclaimed to say that now I'm standing in line with Taiwan, I'm standing in line with USA, so what about this? USA, Taiwan, Japan, they might form an alliance. And later on, if they persuade Europe to join this kind of alliance, we're talking about the Axis country versus the allied country in the World War II. That's dangerous. In the new time, we're talking about the united front line with the Axis country like China, CCP China and Russia and North Korea, right? And Iran, maybe this four hoodlum countries, right? There's four villains, right? And then we have the rest of the world. Even if they find a way to unite African countries, think about that. So this is a very important move, just like a chessboard, especially like a Chinese chess. I'm not very familiar with the Western chess system, but I think the philosophy is the same, right? That's a king's move. That's an emperor's move. That's this guy's move. You know what I'm talking about? That's this guy's very vital move. So once Japan had to come across this stage, it's a death or life situation. You know what I'm talking about? But here's my point on this, right? I feel like Japan can never dare to make this move. And a very interesting saying by one of the politicians in Japan, right? That guy said, let me check, right? I kind of forget his name, but let me have a look here. Yeah, so that guy basically said that the smaller the dog is, the louder the dog bark. Yeah, so basically we know that. One moment, I'm trying to Google the name of that. Hatoyama Yukio. Yeah, Hatoyama Yukio, right? That former politician in Japan, Japanese political stage, political arena, right? He's a very famous guy, very powerful guy. He said that the louder the dog is, the lower the volume is for the bark. So basically, the small dog bark loudest, right? Something like that. So he's trying to satire. He's trying to to criticize Sanae Takaichi for being very loud, but have no power to fight back. Well, we can never underestimate this kind of potential alliance between Japan, Taiwan, and USA. This is the most fearsome, this is the most fearful alliance that CCP could ever face. So CCP would try its absolutely best at all costs to avoid this kind of alliance from formation. You know what I mean? So that's why you can say Sanae Takaichi said, oops. She kind of apologized for that. She said, oh, it's just about a wording. It's just about a situational reaction because, you guys have the newest aircraft carrier, the Fujian aircraft carrier on water now, right? So, if you're disregarding our benefit, if you're disregarding the regional peace, so this is how we would react. So she said, this is all the presumption. She took a step back, right? So like I said, why I would think this will lead to World War III is because if this kind of thing really happens between, for example, if CCP attacked Taiwan and Japan form an alliance with Taiwan, and because Japan is actually protected by the US, right? So passively, the US might be enrolled in the war. And then, so we're talking about an alliance between Taiwan, Japan, and USA, and maybe the rest of the democratic world against CCP and Russia. Especially against CCP, maybe I highly doubt Vladimir Putin will send any troop for Xi Jinping. I highly doubt Vladimir Putin will send any troop for winning the Xi. You know what I'm talking about? So it's CCP fighting the world, just like Tupac. It's me against world, baby. It's just really me against world. That will be very dangerous situation. So tell you what will happen, right? In my prediction is that CCP will try its very best to scare off Sanae Takaichi's remarks and let her back down to eat her own words. To take back the words she has said. And in that situation, CCP is testing waters to say, do you have the balls to fight against me? Because CCP will try its very best to stop this kind of thing ever from happening and try to silence Japan. If Japan ever becomes silent and timid, not able to make any move outside, then it's the time CCP take on Taiwan, because CCP know if I take on Taiwan, you guys never dare to bark back. You know what I mean? So like I said, everybody's barking loudly, right? But we're still living the Cold War version 3. Everybody's barking loudly, but no real movement. Guys, that can be assured because neither CCP, nor Japan, nor any of the political parties in the world can do the first move because the stakes are too high. That's it for today, okay? See you next time. Ciao.